So I think we are recording, yes. Hello and welcome to my extremely special guest today, Kezia Luckett. I'm so thrilled to have you here today, and we're going to go through a few points and some really interesting things that Kezia is working on. Before I do that, the Serenity Club members who'll be watching this know who I am and what I'm doing, but for those people who'll be watching this video out there in the worldwide, on YouTube, on social media, my name is Tracy Leonetti, and I'm a relocation expert based in the south of France for the past 30 years. It's my job and the job of my team to help you navigate the rough waters of the French administration system so you can live your dream life in France. But today is not about me and what I do. Today is about my lovely guest, Kezia Luckett, spelt in the French way for me, and what she does. So Kezia, what I'd really like to start this interview off with, you explaining a little bit about what you do, why you do it, and I guess more importantly, why you do it before we get on to the next steps.
Oh, well, firstly, I love it when you call me Kezia Luckett. I mean, it just sounds so French. I do feel a bit like Hyacinth Bouquet, you know, where she's a Hyacinth bucket and she changes it to bouquet. But my name's Kezia Luckett, and I am a positive psychologist. And for any of you that have no idea what that is, it's the scientific study of what makes people, organizations, and communities flourish and thrive. And I became a positive psychologist back in 2018. But my area that really interests me is how do we scale the limiting beliefs and fears that hold us back, not only in business, but also life? How can we go back through our memories and actually see whether or not they're true, because up to 50% of our memories sometimes are nothing but lies, and how we can actually utilize them to release our limiting beliefs and fears and actually step into the person, the life, the relationships, the health, etc., that we want to have. And I know you said, why do I do it?
Yes.
I mainly work with women, and the main reason for doing it is that I truly believe that if women are themselves, just themselves, they can contribute to the world just by being themselves. And oftentimes as women, we just don't realize that we are already contribution enough, which means we're constantly giving until we have nothing left to give. So, you know, that's something that I feel really passionate about is, you know, just by being ourselves, ladies, we are enough. And the same would apply to men, because I know you have men in your Serenity group as well.
We do, exactly. You know, I mean, I love everything. You know, I love everything about what you say you do, Kezia. I've been following you for many years. In fact, it'd be really good just if we take a little walk down memory lane. Let's do that, shall we? And just explain to everybody, because I met Kezia in the north of France, and it was probably about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I was trying
2017.
Was it really? Exactly. Trying to work out how long it was. And it was a pivotal moment, and we'll talk about pivotal moments when we talk about Kezia's project. But it was a pivotal moment in my life, that meetup with yourself and, of course, Sammy, and it was part of the brand building. And we sat around that table, if you remember, and we literally let it all flow. So that's where your project first started. But actually, it started before that on a Boxing Day morning walk. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so it was my first year of doing my positive psychology masters. And like many of you, on Boxing Day, or you may or may not have Boxing Day in France, I'm not sure, but it's the day after Christmas. So it's the 26th. And at that particular day, obviously, you know, the festivities of Christmas and being with family and celebrating, you know, all of the goodness that we celebrate at Christmas. The following day, I woke up really early. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just needed to go and clear my head. And I set off out the door with my wet weather gear, because it was raining in England. And we've got like a long drive near us. And as I started walking down the drive, I got a vision, a vision and a download from God. And the thing that came in was these questions, constant questions. And one of the main ones was, if you could go back in time to a pivotal moment of adversity and give yourself advice, what would you say? But more importantly, would you change anything? Mm. And with that in my mind, I was just like, right, I need to get home. I got home, sat in front of the computer, was typing away. And the idea for the Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Younger Self, was born. And it was really about, what would we say if we could go back in time to a pivotal moment of adversity? What would we say to our younger selves? What words of encouragement and wisdom and love and compassion could we actually give to ourselves? Because oftentimes in those moments of adversity, we tend to beat ourselves up. It tends to be a secret that we try to stuff down or hide because, for fear of judgment, for fear of shame, of guilt, of fear, of all of those, so-called negative emotions. And that's really where it was born. And that's what we were talking about on around that kitchen table at that retreat.
It really was. And I want to share with certainly with my community, but also with anybody who's watching this, it was a bit of a revelation, I think, even to Kezia at that time, because obviously she'd had that download that had come, but it was how to get that out to the world. And that was what for everybody who was at that meeting that weekend, those 3 or 4 days, in fact, was how to get their gifts out to the world. And so literally when I heard Kezia talk, it was just a no-brainer that I was going to get involved with Kezia and her Pay It Forward series. And I, in fact, did get involved in the very first edition. So tell us about the Pay It Forward series. I know now we are on book 4. So for anybody watching this who has no idea about the Pay It Forward series, listen to what Kezia has to say now, because it will change your life.
Oh, no pressure then. No pressure. So when we sat around that table in France, everybody had talked about their mission, because we all have a purpose. We all have something that we were put on this planet to be, do, and achieve, whether it's being the most, amazing parents, or whether it's running a business, or whether it's, living your dream life in France. We all have a mission and a purpose within us that we need to bring out to the world. And everybody had shared theirs. And I remember sharing with people about the idea for this book, and the fact that people would write back to their younger self. And, through the act of paying it forward, we could positively change and impact on over 1 billion lives worldwide. And I shared it, and all of a sudden there was silence. And I remember thinking, this is the first time that I've even spoken this idea out to the world. And this is the response that I'm getting. This must be a really bad idea. And if that's the case, I really don't know why I'm here at this retreat, because, this was the thing that I came for. And one by one, it was just like people let out their breath, and they were just like, wow. And originally, when we first started the book series, I mean, it was. Yeah. And when we first started the book series, it was just solely for women. And I know yourself and Sammy and the lovely Sarah Sparks, you all stepped forward to share your stories at that. All of you said yes. And I was just like, right, okay. So the idea is that each of our gorgeous authors, Tracy included, who is in volume 1, they not only go through a writing program to create a chapter that really details why they're so passionate about what it is that they do in this world. Why are they so passionate about bringing their mission and purpose? And obviously Tracy's is, to help people create that dream life in France, which is absolutely phenomenal. But also they also go through mind conditioning therapy, which is all about how can we release those limitations and fears that stop us from speaking up and speaking out about those things that matter, about the stories that have led us to stepping forward into our mission. So not only do the authors pay forward their story, at the front of each book, and I've got one here, excuse me, at the front of each book is a message box, and you can see it here. And the idea is that once the reader has finished reading it, they write their own message of hope and inspiration in that box. They put a post-it note on the front that says, "This book's for you, read it, love it, pay it forward." And they leave it for a stranger to find. And the idea is that the right people pick up the right book and get the right story at the right time, because we just never know when people are having those moments of just like, what is it all for? You know, my life isn't good, or something's not going to plan, or, you know, I feel like nobody understands me or cares. To receive that. And we've had messages from around the world of people who have picked it up in a variety of different places and the meaning that it's had to them.
We have, and I think that is, you know, it gives me, I get this word wrong. I say goosebumps. I'm not sure it's the right English word because I have lost a bit of my English. I think it's goosebump or goose pimples or something like that.
Yes.
Goosebumps, thank you. And I think that is a really important thing to share, because personally, I mean, I was at the Place in the Sun in Birmingham for the event show just a few weeks ago, and I had one of my books with me, and I left it on the bench as I was leaving in Birmingham, you know, the NC Centre, because for me, even now, and it's been a few years since we did our book, but even now, that exact same impact, I still feel that will have an impact on somebody somewhere. So I still go around. I don't take the photos and post them like I used to, but I still go and take, everywhere I go, I take a book with me and I leave it in a place. Yeah. So, and I know we have had stories of people finding them in hotel rooms and then reaching out as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, within 2 weeks of our book being out, so the very first book, I was at an event in the UK. I'd flown over from Barcelona, and it was an all-women's event. And all of a sudden, this man walks in and he struts over to the stand and he goes, "I'm here to buy your book." And I went, are you sure? Like, our book? Are you sure? Our book? And he goes, "Yeah, I loved your story." And he started telling me about my story in the book, which was about being bullied. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you've actually read my book. Where did you get the book?" And he said, "I found it in a bedside cabinet on holiday in Morocco. And my wife picked it up and gave it to me. And I started reading it. And I'm here to buy 2 or 3 more copies for the women of contribution in my life." And I was absolutely dumbfounded that how quickly this movement had grown, how quickly it was having an impact, and the difference that it was making to his life, that he took time out of his day to travel to an all-women's event just to buy some books. And it just blows my mind. And, you know, for me, I will forever be grateful for that morning when I went for that walk and the download that came from God. But more importantly, I'm just so incredibly grateful for the courageous authors that step forward, because each of the stories are so personal. You know, I mean, I know your one was an incredibly personal story, and whether it's a personal story like yourself, or, you know, losing $1 million in an internet dating scam, or you know, abuse, or you know, all of these different things, they step forward because they know that somebody needs to know out there that they're not alone. And that takes the biggest balls ever. I mean, you know, so much courage. And I know from yours and my perspective, because we were in the first book, you know, as it comes closer to launch day, the nerves start going as you think, oh my goodness, people are going to read my innermost secrets, and I'm incredibly vulnerable, and how are they going to respond? But I know from speaking to you and your book sisters, you know, the response has been amazing.
The response, and that what you said is so true, because I remember distinctly for me, it's a process you go through. Working with you, Kezia, has been an amazing process. Working on the Pay It Forward series, it does take you to places of should I say, of incomfort or no comfort zone, because again, mixing the French with English, but so I was out of my comfort zone in some of the things I had to share. And at the start of it, you share it because you're doing it for the good of, obviously, for yourself. It's a process you go through, but to help other people. But at the time when I started it, I wasn't thinking about my family, and I had to literally go and speak to my family before the book launched. A huge, huge impact. So yes, so I also salute all of our book sisters and a few brothers. How many are they now, Kezia? Just to remind everybody, how many people are spreading the word around the world?
There's 65 authors in 15 different countries that are sharing the stories and the movement to positively impact on 1 billion lives worldwide.
And how can anybody watch this show now or later in the replay, how can people help the Pay It Forward series to touch as many lives as possible?
Well, the first thing is there will be something in one of the books that you're going to need at this moment in time, because let's be honest, going through moments of adversity is a human experience. Failures, mistakes, things not going to plan. It's a human experience, and no matter how much we try to only focus on the good stuff, which might seem strange for a positive psychologist to want to focus on some of the not so good stuff, but there will be something within one of those books that will help you, will provide a roadmap for whatever it is that you're going through at this moment in time. So the first thing to say is, go on to Amazon, whether it's the French Amazon, English, American, Australian, German, go on to Amazon, type in the Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Younger Self, and you will see the 4 different books, and you can buy it in Kindle version or you can buy it in paperback version. And then once you've read it, pay it forward. And you can either do what I just said, which put the Post-it note on it and then leave it for a stranger to find, or alternatively, give it to somebody close to you, because there is always somebody suffering in silence. Always. There's always somebody that's going through something at this moment in time, and they're putting the face on of, everything's fine, nothing to see here, and when you say to them, how are you? They go, I'm fine. And that they're not. Yeah. So this is a beautiful way just to help them in that moment.
Yeah, and I think that's really important, because in the world we live in now, without going into details, but even in the social media world that we live in now, where everybody has this appearance of being in a I'm okay, everything is wonderful world, and we all know that is not true, then this is really important for people to be able to admit that, it's okay not to be okay. Mm-hmm. And in this book, there are so many golden nuggets to take away with you, whether you're in a bad space or not. Even if you're in a relatively good space right now, there's always going to be golden nuggets in these experiences that all these wonderful people and women will share with you. And that is my opinion. And I have read most of the stories. Obviously, I'm waiting impatiently for the 4th volume to go live on the 30th. I have my order in, because there is always going to be a story that you can relate to, and then you can learn from their experiences and maybe even reach out to that person. And I know I had people reach out to me after my story who reached out to me, and I found, and that it gave me so much joy, because if you can help just one person with your story, then you've done your job, in my opinion. So I had people reach out to me, and I'm sure the authors had people reach out to them to say, I read your story, it really helped. And that, I think, is a message of hope that goes out right now in a world where many of us are lost.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things going on at this moment in time. Just to know that we're not doing this alone You know, even if we don't know the person, just to know that somebody else has navigated what we're going through and actually come out the other end. Because oftentimes when we're plunged into darkness, we can't see the light. We hope that we can see the light. We're you know, hopeful that some point in time we will feel better. But when you're in the midst of something going on, and you know, I will just say here, because something's come to mind, is, you know, often people go, I don't have a story. You know, my story's not as big as everybody else's. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It really doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It could be, you know, that the job's not going to plan. It could be that, you know, you're just not feeling the best mother this week. Or it could be something, you know, bigger. It doesn't negate the feelings that go along with that. You know, and so, you know, we should never dismiss those feelings. And that feeling of, you know, nobody understands. I can't speak up. I've got no voice. You know, there's nothing that I can change. I can't do anything. This book, I think, gives other people hope, that there is light after the darkness.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a really fantastic way, actually, to finalize. I think, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think that is a fantastic sentence to leave it with. So what I'm going to say is, if anybody's watching this, do reach out, do go to Amazon, Google the Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Younger Self. Try and pass the word around, because there is somebody in your entourage that will need this book, because there is light at the end of that tunnel. So Kezia, I want to say a huge thank you for taking time out of your very busy agenda today to come and share your nuggets of knowledge with my community, and also the rest of the community out there as well. I wish you all the very best for the launch on the 30th, and I will be waiting for my version to pop through the post so I can read all of those words of wisdom from another book in your Pay It Forward series, Notes to My Younger Self. So thank you everybody for watching, for listening, and please do take action.
Thank you.
Okay.